Well, for me, I'm looking forward to Canelo versus Smith coming up at the end of December. I think it's the biggest fight in the calendar. Yes, we do have Joshua and Pulev this weekend,
Oh,
but Canelo, when Canelo fights, it's one of those big events, and the best part is that it's not on pay-per-view, which, I mean, the fans have been fleeced lately, right? I mean, you look at all the things that have been going on with the Jones and Tyson. Yes, it was entertaining, and the Spence and Garcia. Yes, it was entertaining, but it's like during these times, especially, and one pay-per-view after another. Now, Kevin, I get that they can't make the money in a lot of cases with no fans in attendance. In a lot of cases, some cases we do have attendance, but like we did last weekend, we had attendance, and it was still on pay-per-view. So here we go, getting fleeced by the fans. The Zone, cool. Finally, a really good fight. My thoughts is that, look at what Canelo's done recently, man. I mean, running through different weight classes, what was it back in November of 2019 when he laid out Sergey Kovalov, and before that, he got a unanimous decision against Jacobs.
No, let me cut you off there. So that fight with Kovalov was kind of how would you say this?
He dropped a missile on his head.
No, it was smoking. That fight was smoke and mirrors to me, and I'm going to tell you why. Kovalov was coming off a very difficult fight against Anthony Yarde, where he almost got knocked out, and then Yarde just ran out of gas and got KO'd. And then they signed that fight. I think Kovalov didn't even have any time to actually get any rest in between the fights.
That's great matchmaking on behalf of Canelo.
Yeah. So that was one of those where, and then Kovalov kind of fought in a very defensive manner the whole time. I mean, Kovalov used to be considered just like a killer. And then all of a sudden he's fighting Canelo, a naturally smaller guy, and he's just sitting there throwing jabs. I mean, I never saw him throw a right hand at all. I mean,
no, there was no right hand at all in that fight.
That was, I wouldn't, Smith, I think, is going to be a more formidable opponent. The only problem with Smith is in a similar situation to Kovalov. Hasn't had a whole lot of time to prepare. I heard he's been in the gym for anticipating that he was going to get this payday, along with probably 5 or 6 other fighters. So we don't know how much he's been in the gym, but according to his team, he's been in the gym, he's been training. So he is going to come in prepared, but he's kind of one of those opponents where he's very tall, he's very lanky, and Canelo throws those vicious body shots. He's gotten better as far as using those earmuff defense. He comes in there and he knows how to duck and slip. And Smith's last fight against John Ryder, I mean, he just looked terrible to me. So if you had to ask me who's going to win, I mean, well, if it goes with the scorecards, I mean, who's going to win. So, but anyways, give me your thoughts, John.
Well, I think Canelo has been doing a great job of late. Like I said, going back and forth between weight classes, showing explosive power, taking on names. I mean, if you look at, the battery of work over the past few years, whether it's Kovalov, Jacobs, Golovkin twice, there's been guys there, of course, Miguel Cotto, you got to give props to that. That goes back a ways, but still it was an impressive victory. Now, for Callum Smith to break him down, guys, it's like you look at the last fight with John Ryder, it was okay. He didn't look impressive. Some people actually thought that Smith lost the fight. Styles makes fights. But then if you look at the prior 2 fights in front of that, including a big victory over George Groves, who obviously has seen better days, but whatever, they were KOs. The guy has power. Like you said, Kev, he has size. Callum Smith does, from a fighting family. He comes from a family that boxes, and some are better than others. There's always going to be runts in the litter, and I'm not going to name the names. But the bottom line is that this guy comes from fighting. He's in the biggest opportunity of his life. There's no doubt about it. The biggest stage ever.
Plus, John, he actually, his brother fought Canelo, so he's actually probably had some time to at least study him quite a bit. over
Right.
time. So,
And it's almost like a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Like, you beat up my brother. Now I must get revenge. That's kind of like what it is.
One of his movies in a long time. Is that how he talks?
No, how he talks is more like in Double Impact. Never in my life would I ever wear black silk underwear.
It sounded more like Drago to me, but anyway.
I always sound Russian for some reason. And then sometimes I go like Leprechaun, and it's weird, and Irish. I'm all over the place. The only thing I could do really good is Italian over here. But I think that, Callum Smith, he's also unbeaten. He's got a decent knockout percentage. It should be interesting. I think this is one of the better, more lively opponents for, like you mentioned.
It's definitely interesting to me. The only issue I have is he just hasn't fought a whole lot of world-class opposition. So, George Groves, but we know George Groves. He got knocked out twice. I mean, viciously. The second time against Carl Froch. That first fight was kind of an early stoppage. He looked really good then, but he's kind of had his ups and downs in his career.
If you could pull that up on the screen, that'd be amazing for people to see. Like, his legs sprawled out. I mean, I don't mean to put you at extra work over there, but that is the way he fell over his knee, his leg. Oh my God! Like, look at this. Like Emmanuel Stewart would say, look at it. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's, but besides George Groves, I mean, can you really name any legitimate world-class opponents? So, I mean, sometimes I feel some of these guys, I mean, I don't know how many fights, what his record is, but I believe he has about 20-something fights. He hasn't really fought too many top fighters, so.
He's at 27-0 with 19 KOs, but like you said, there is no top fighter outside of, George Groves, who at the time wasn't a top fighter. But, respect to George Groves. But
has he ever fought in the United States? Or I believe this fight is going to be in Texas.
This fight coming up is going to be in Texas, San Antonio. And has he ever fought in the States? Yeah, he fought at the Garden once before. Hasim Nagam rather, and that's really the extent. I mean, most of it's UK. He's traveled across. I'm going through his record right now. He's traveled across the pond once before. I mean, it's on a big stage, the zone. There's a lot of factors into that. That's a great point. Like, how often did you fight in America? But it's weird because how much of a crowd do we know about? Because, it's like the thing about traveling to another country is not only like how well do you acclimate or how well do you settle in, and it's also how well do the people perceive you and receive you. So if he's in an arena that's empty, which I don't think it will be, I'm just throwing out my.
I think there's going to be fans there, but I think
right.
That part of the issue is, especially with this pandemic going on, there's so many restrictions and weird rules now. So
you don't even know what the hell to do anymore when you go out.
Show up at a specific time, then they're going to put him in some type of bubble environment that's going to probably make him very uncomfortable. I mean, to me, it's like the deck was stacked against him if there was no pandemic, and now there's the pandemic. I just don't see very many advantages for him here. I mean, his boxing ability, his punching power are definitely advantages that he has, his reach and his height. But if Canelo could handle somebody with the punching power of a Gennady Golovkin, I don't think Smith is going to really present anything that he hasn't seen before. And then obviously he fought Sergey Kovalev, who is, a taller, rangier guy with punching power. Obviously a guy kind of on the back end of his career. But I think that obviously makes
that's a great point. His punch resistance.
So I mean, he's probably at this point, even including in the gym, he's seen everything. So I don't think Smith is going to present anything that's going to make him all that uncomfortable.
The punch resistance, absolutely. And he's seen it all. He faced Mayweather. I mean, he learned a lot because, we saw Canelo adapt and change after that. And then obviously there was some, questionable, wins that he got against like Israel and Lara was one of them. But, He's
Those
shown
were, and
growth.
John, just it's great that you brought that up. That's like invaluable experience, fighting a guy that is so difficult to fight, a boxer mover. When you're somebody who likes to come forward and throw body shots, and you got a guy that's basically you're basically got to chase him down. It's like the hare and the rabbit. You know what I mean?
Yep. And speaking
Sorry,
about
the tortoise and the hare. I'm sorry.
there you go. No, I got it. The thing is, with Canelo, I think he'll win this fight. I know that he's had great training and sparring. I happen to know someone on a very personal level, a fighter, Ronald Ellis, who's actually Ronald's going to fight this weekend on Showtime, coming out of Connecticut. The broadcast will be he's a super middleweight fighter. He's also a sparring partner and stablemate of Canelo. And, he's going to be taking on Matev Korobov, which I'm looking forward to because that's a hell of a test for my boy Ronald. And Kev, let me just tell you about my boy Ronald. Like his record, 17-1, 2 draws. He got 11 KOs. Here's a guy that is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in the sport of boxing. He's a family man. He's mad cool, funny. And he comes from a great stable of awesome people. We're talking hangs out around Buddy McGirt, Rachel Charles, Sheer Management. And I'm not getting paid to say this, people. These are just people I love. And I've embraced them. I've become great friends with them. I've actually interviewed a lot of fighters from that stable. And Kevin, let me tell you something. This is what boxing needs more. These people are like a family. They go shopping at Target together. They go hiking together. They all go running together. They do things together. They have holiday dinners together. Like, that is what made Mike Tyson with Customato. Emmanuel Stewart, when he took in fighters and pretty much adopted them like their sons. This is what the sport really needs. And less of the other side of the sport where it's like social media and negativity and blaming promoters or managers. Like, these are good people that are involved in the sport. So props to Ronald. I know you're going to kick ass on Saturday night, brother. I'll be on my show next week. And hopefully I have Rachel on and a lot of other fighters from that stable, because these guys are taking over because they got the right head and the right approach. Family's everything.
Word, John. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see how he does this fight. I'm not too familiar with him, but he's obviously an upcoming guy, and he's somebody that you know pretty well, and we wish him all the best. And definitely it's a good platform. I'm really looking forward to getting some of these old guys out and these new guys in. And thing with boxing, I think the problem is we really want to build these guys, but for example, I was just kind of looking at his record. I think he was 17-1-2.
That's correct. Yep.
People nowadays, they see a guy with one loss and a couple of draws and they want to write him off. I think we really need to put things in perspective, give guys opportunities. If you fight good fighters, I was looking at a guy on BoxRec earlier today, and the guy was 22 wins and 21 losses. And when I looked at the 21 losses, out of the 21 losses, of probably about like 18 of them were against undefeated guys. And he probably went the distance with all those guys. So in boxing, sometimes people can be like, actually like a great fighter. And they would if that guy fought 40 stiffs, he'd be 40-0. But he actually fought 20 really good, solid prospects. Probably lost all of them like very, competitively. And now he's 22-20. So that makes him look like
it's the most unforgiving sport.
Yeah, it's just really ridiculous. It's like in this sport, if you don't have the right connections, you can kind of be relegated to a certain position. Some fighters are okay with just coming in there like, okay, I'm a solid opponent. They kind of get in the opponent mindset. They're there to get a check. They're going to do just enough not to win the fight, but people need to put things in perspective. There's a lot of great fighters who don't have shiny, glossy records, and that's the product of matchmaking, the product of who's kind of in your corner, who's managing your career. And sometimes you see big upsets because sometimes people overlook those kind of guys. You know, there's a fighter you're probably familiar with. I'm trying to remember his name, who gave every fighter a tough fight. I'm trying to remember what his name is. Darnell Boone. You familiar with him?
Mm-hmm.
Similar type of guy. So when you see these upcoming guys, you see them have a loss or two, don't write them off. You know,
no. Look at guys like Mickey Ward, and give me help me out here. The Drunken Master, Augustus.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they put you through hell. And that's like, you know, I think what Danny Garcia is going to be, but I don't think he's going to be that capable, you know, to bookend that. I don't think Danny's going to be that guy. Like, if you went and saw, like, towards the end of the career, like you're facing Orlando Salido at his end of his career, you're still going through hell because you know that guy only knows how to fight one way. And whether he's got it that night or not, he's still going to bring it. And he's going to see what you have and what you don't have. So you better bring what you have to face a guy like that. So those type of guys that we're mentioning are certainly guys that are really, really tough to take out. Also, talking about bookends, the thing with Canelo, I love the way he has a hybrid now of different styles, versatility. He's got a great jab, awesome reflexes. His defense has certainly improved. He's got that explosive missile right hand that he likes to, you know, throw out there. What I like about Canelo, I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, and this is an observation I have, is that Canelo will do things very traditionally and fundamentally. He'll do a double jab. He'll do some body shots. He'll throw a lot of straight shots, maybe some looping to the body, but not much to the head. But every once in a while, he'll just check and see if you're paying attention to an overhand right, which is like a barroom brawl shot, if you guys don't know the term. And he does that at the right time. And that, to me, shows intelligence and a setup in his plan. I study this man. I wanted to hate him for a lot of reasons, being the whole clenbuterol and whatever, you know, but he's definitely earned my respect. And if you look at his method to his madness, there is certainly a method to his madness.